If I'd known my aunt's favorite phrase, toned down that attitude, would end up sounding real foolish once Grandma's lawyer read the will out loud. I might have rolled my eyes even harder every time she said it. I was standing in my aunt's living room the day the whole mess started, holding a tray of deviled eggs she claimed she couldn't lift because of her bad shoulder. The shoulder that magically healed whenever she wanted to dance at family reunions. Cousins were running around. The TV was blasting some rerun, and the smell of fried chicken clung to the air like wallpaper. It was loud, chaotic, normal. I just told her I was heading out because I still had work to finish for my job. An actual job with deadlines, when she turned, gave me that narrow stare and said the line I grew up hearing like a background soundtrack. Nia, you need to tone down your attitude. Just like that. No warning. No reason. I wasn't even frowning. I wasn't snapping. I had simply said I can't stay long. But somehow that counted as attitude. I tightened my grip on the tray. What attitude? She raised her eyebrows, the way she always did when she wanted to make me feel 12 again. That tone, that sharpness, always sounding like somebody inconvenienced you. Inside, something twisted, because I knew what she meant. I'd always known. She meant stop being direct. She meant stop being confident. She meant shrink a little so you don't make people uncomfortable. I inhaled slowly. Aunt Denise. I just said I have work to finish. MHM. She gave one of those dismissive hums that felt like a slap. And I'm telling you how you sounded. That's why your grandmother always said you needed softening. My heart jerked at that, because Grandma never said that to me. Not once. And I knew right then this wasn't about my tone. It was about control. It was about how Aunt Denise always wanted me molded, managed, pushed into a quieter version of myself. But instead of letting the moment escalate, I placed the tray on the table. I'm leaving. Oh, see, she said, laughing loud enough for the whole room. There she goes with that attitude again. A few cousins side-eyed me, not because they agreed, but because Black families always try to avoid the fuse that leads to fireworks. My mother glanced over from the couch, pretending not to listen with the intensity of someone listening harder than the FBI. Grandma, my small, silver-haired saint, was napping in her recliner, oblivious to all of it. I swallowed the burn in my throat, the humiliation, the familiar shame that wasn't mine to carry. I grabbed my bag, walked out, and didn't say goodbye. I didn't make it to my car before my phone buzzed. A text from my cousin, the only one bold enough to say what everyone else was thinking. Girl, Aunt Denise stay jealous of you. Don't let her get in your head. I shoved the phone in my pocket, but the words kept replaying. Jealous? Of what? I wasn't rich. I wasn't fancy. I was just me. But that comment, tone down your attitude, lit up old wounds. Every childhood memory of being the too much girl. Every time I was told to be nicer, quieter, more grateful. Every time Grandma had to pull me aside and whisper, baby, don't let nobody tell you who you are. Not even family. When I got home, my apartment felt like exhaling. The soft glow of my little floor lamp, the lingering vanilla candle, the quiet hum of the fridge, all of it calmed the storm swirling in my chest. I wrapped my hair with my satin scarf, kicked off my shoes, and sank into the couch. But the silence didn't last. My phone lit up again, this time my mother. Your grandmother's asking for you tomorrow, she said. She wants you to come over. My irritation softened instantly. Grandma was the glue in our family. If she called you when? Sure, I said. Is everything okay? There was a pause. A long one. She's been saying some unusual things. Just go see her. The next morning, the sun wasn't even fully up when I drove to Grandma's house. The porch light was still on. Birds barely chirping. Dew clinging to the grass. My aunt's car was already there. My stomach tightened. I walked inside to find Grandma sitting at the kitchen table, hands wrapped around a mug of chamomile tea. She looked tired, but her eyes sparkled the way they always did when she saw me. There's my girl, she whispered. I hugged her gently. Her frame felt small, smaller than usual. Aunt Denise hovered near the stove. You made it, she said, like she was surprised I honored my grandmother's request. I ignored her. Grandma patted the seat beside her. Sit, baby. When I did, she placed her hand over mine. I'm updating some paperwork, she said softly. Some things I need to finalize. A chill rippled down my spine. Paperwork. Yes, she said. My will. My heart stumbled. She said it calmly, like she was announcing the weather. But Aunt Denise stiffened, her shoulders tightening under her robe. You don't need to worry about all that, Mama, Denise said quickly. We'll take care of things when the time comes. Grandma didn't even look at her. That's exactly why I'm handling it now. Aunt Denise's fake smile flickered. I stayed quiet, feeling the air thicken. Grandma squeezed my hand. I'll need you to come to the lawyer's office next week. I want you there. Me. Not my mother. Not Aunt Denise. Me. I nodded slowly. Of course. Aunt Denise's eyes narrowed. Why does she need to be there? Grandma finally turned, her gaze sharp enough to slice. Because I said so. That ended the conversation. For the next few days, everything felt tense. I tried focusing on work, but my mind kept drifting back to Grandma's frail smile, her trembling hands, her request to come to the lawyer's meeting. Aunt Denise called twice, first pretending nothing was wrong, then trying to guilt-trip me into telling her what Grandma said. I didn't tell her one word. The morning of the meeting, Grandma wore her good church hat, the black one with the small rhinestones that glimmered like quiet confidence. I drove us to the office, her hand resting lightly on my arm the whole way. When we walked in, the receptionist smiled warmly. Mrs. Bell, your family is already here. Family, meaning my aunt.
And sure enough, when the lawyer opened the conference room door, there she was, sitting upright, face stiff, clutching her purse like a lifeline. My mother sat beside her, calmer but clearly uneasy. I stayed close to Grandma, guiding her gently to her seat. The lawyer, a soft-spoken man with silver hair, cleared his throat. Thank you all for coming. Mrs. Bell has asked that I review the updates to her will with everyone present. Aunt Denise plastered on a smile. Wonderful. We're all here to support Mama. Grandma gave her a look that said, you can stop performing now. The lawyer opened a folder. As stated previously, Mrs. Bell's estate includes her home, her savings, personal heirlooms, and the parcel of land she inherited. Aunt Denise nodded confidently, like she already knew she was getting everything. The lawyer continued. In the updated version of the will, the primary beneficiary, the person inheriting the majority of assets, including the house and land, is... He paused. My heart thudded once loud. Mrs. Bell's granddaughter, Nia. The room froze. My mother inhaled sharply. Aunt Denise's face went slack, then twisted. Not just shock, not just confusion, but wounded pride. The kind that's been festering for years. What? She snapped. Mama, that doesn't make sense. She's the youngest. She's not responsible. Careful, Grandma warned. Aunt Denise swallowed hard. Mama, I'm your eldest daughter. I've been here. I've handled everything. You handled what you wanted to handle, Grandma said calmly. Her voice was soft, but the truth in it landed like thunder. Nia is the one who listens, she continued. She's the one who sits with me when my hands shake too much to hold a cup. She's the one who checks on me without being asked. She's the one who shows up when she says she will. She looked straight at Denise. She has no attitude, just boundaries. My breath caught. Grandma wasn't done. And I chose her, she said firmly, because she sees me as a person, not a responsibility. The room went silent, except for the hum of the ceiling vent. Aunt Denise blinked rapidly. So, you're saying I don't care about you? Grandma sighed. I'm saying you care about being in charge. There's a difference. Mom looked down at her hands. Denise shook her head. I can't believe this. Oh, you can, Grandma said. You just don't want to. The lawyer continued reading, but I barely heard the rest. My ears were ringing. My chest felt tight. My throat wobbled. I wasn't expecting this. I wasn't angling for anything. I wasn't trying to earn an inheritance. I was just showing up for the woman who always showed up for me. And she saw that. She chose that. When the meeting ended, Aunt Denise stormed out, slamming the door so hard the receptionist jumped. My mother lingered, then gave me a fragile smile. You okay? She asked. I nodded, though my throat felt thick. Are you? I will be, she said. Mama made her choice, and she's not wrong about you. It wasn't praise exactly, but it was something I'd never heard from her before. Grandma slipped her hand into mine. Walk me outside, baby. We stepped into the sunlight and she leaned on me just a bit, not out of weakness but comfort. When we reached the car, she looked up at me. You don't have an attitude, she said softly. You have a voice. Some people confuse the two. My eyes burned. And the land? I whispered. Why give that to me? A slow smile spread across her face. Because there are things your aunt doesn't know about our family, she said. Things she never bothered to ask. She tapped my arm. And you, Nia, you're the one meant to uncover them. The wind shifted. Something in her tone felt like a door creaking open. A secret waiting to step into the light. If I had known the will was just the beginning of the truth Grandma wanted me to uncover, I probably wouldn't have slept a wink that night. Because nothing, and I mean nothing, prepared me for how deep her choice cut into our family history, or how much Aunt Denise would unravel trying to fight it. After the meeting, I drove Grandma home in silence. Not uncomfortable silence, more like the quiet after a choir finishes a powerful song, and everyone's still vibrating from it. When I helped her into the house, she sat slowly on her recliner, the same one she always napped in, the same one where I'd braided her hair the week before. Sit, she said, patting the armrest. We need to talk. I sat. My breath held. You're probably wondering why I chose you, she said, folding her hands in her lap. Her gold ring, the one Grandpa gave her after he'd saved up for months, glimmered against her brown skin. I mean, yeah, I admitted. I wasn't expecting any of that. I know. She nodded. And that's one reason why you're the right one. You don't expect the spotlight. You don't chase it. She let out a long, slow breath. That land, that house, that responsibility, it's more than property, baby. It comes with truth. And truth isn't something everybody can handle. Her tone shifted, soft but weighted, like she was easing me into something she wasn't sure I was ready for. Your aunt, she continued, has always wanted control. Of me, of family gatherings, of the narrative. She gave a small smile. But control don't keep a family together. Care does. My throat tightened. She said the words simply, but they dug deep in places I didn't know were raw. And you, she said, touching my knuckles gently, you care. You lead with heart, even when they try to tell you it's attitude. My eyes burned. I looked down just to keep them from spilling. That's why I chose you. She squeezed my hand once more, then softened her voice even further. And because there's something your aunt never asked about. Something nobody bothered to ask about. But you. I frowned. What's that? That land, she said. It belonged to your great-grandmother. And before her, her mother. The stories are buried under that soil. The good, the bad, the ugly. But it's ours. I let her words soak in. Land wasn't just land. Not in our family. Not in any black family that had something passed down through generations. Grandma leaned back in her chair. The strain in her eyes told me she'd said enough for now. Go home, baby, she whispered. We'll talk more soon. When I left, I felt changed. Like Grandma had handed me a key, but the door hadn't opened yet. But by the time I made it to my driveway, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. 12 messages, all from Aunt Denise. The first few were polite. Call me, please. We need to talk calmly. This is just a misunderstanding. Then the tone shifted. Nia, you know your grandmother wasn't thinking clearly. You manipulated her. You don't deserve that property. By message 11, she'd gone full melodrama. I will not let you take what I've earned. And message 12, a lawyer will be in touch. I stared at the screen, stunned. I didn't reply. I didn't even open the door to my apartment before another message came, this time from Grandma. Don't answer her. Rest. I love you. I leaned my forehead against my door and breathed slowly. Family could comfort you and gut you in the same hour. It's a talent, honestly. Inside, I dropped onto my couch, still in my coat. My living room smelled like shea butter and the leftover candle I'd blown out that morning. Usually that smell calmed me. But tonight my mind raced. Why was Aunt Denise reacting like she'd been robbed? Why did Grandma want me to inherit something with history running through it like veins? What truth was buried on that land? I fell asleep thinking about all of it. The next day was chaos. By 9 a.m., 3 cousins texted me some variation of, "Girl, what'd you do to Aunt Denise? She up early screaming. She told everybody you manipulated Grandma. Brace yourself. She's standing on business today." I ignored the noise, went to work, tried to focus, but my phone buzzed again during lunch. My mother this time. "Nia," she whispered as soon as I answered, "your aunt is out of control." "I know," I sighed. "She's been texting me all night." "Well," Mom said, lowering her voice even more. She called the family group chat and said she wants the will overturned. I closed my eyes. "On what grounds?" "That's the thing," Mom said. "She doesn't have any. She just keeps saying she's the oldest and you're too emotional to handle responsibility." A bitter laugh escaped me. "Too emotional? You know how she is," Mom murmured. "Projection Olympics." My chest tightened. Part of me wanted to laugh. Part of me wanted to scream. And part of me just wanted to go sit with Grandma and let her tell me everything. The truth, the history, the secrets. But Grandma texted me before I could even reach for my keys. "Let her rant. She'll tire herself out like she always does. Come over tomorrow." I did. When I walked in, Grandma was sitting in her sunroom, robe tied neatly, hair wrapped with her lavender scarf. She looked peaceful, too peaceful for all the drama swirling around her name. "Sit down," she said, gesturing to the chair beside hers. "You look like you got thoughts." I don't understand why she's so angry." "Oh, baby." Grandma chuckled softly. "Your aunt been mad since the 80s. This is just Tuesday for her. Even in chaos, black elder humor finds a way." "But why me?" I asked again. "Why not Mom? Why not anyone else?" Grandma looked at me like she could see the child I used to be, the girl who asked questions nobody else wanted answered. "When you were little," she said, "you were the only one who wanted to sit with me in the garden. Everyone else ran off to play, but you'd bring me my tea, sit on that little stool and ask me stories. That was just curiosity." "No," she corrected. "That was love." She paused. "You're the one who carries the women of this family in your spirit. I saw it when you were 5. Her words hit something deep inside me. Something I didn't even know I was longing for. "And that land," she continued, "was always meant to go to the woman who'd keep our story alive. Not the woman who wanted to own the story." Tears burned behind my eyes, but I didn't let them fall. She reached for my hand. "And there's more." That snapped me upright. "More?" She nodded. "There's a box in my bedroom closet. Purple lid. Don't open it until I'm gone." My breath caught. "Grandma." "It's not morbid, baby." She squeezed my hand. "It's necessary. Everything's in there. Letters, journals, maps. The truth about how this land came to us." My heart pounded. "Why not tell me now?" "Because your aunt will make this ugly before she accepts it," she said. "And when that box opens, I need you to be steady." Steady. She always used that word when she talked about our ancestors. The women who held families together through storms, moves, wars, losses, betrayals. I swallowed. "Okay. Good." Her smile returned. "Now let me show you something." She stood with surprising strength and walked to her bedroom. I followed. She stopped at the closet, opened the door, and reached to the top shelf. A small purple-lidded box sat there, edges worn with time. She touched it but didn't take it down. "That's it," she whispered. "When the time comes." I nodded. I didn't trust my voice not to crack. When I left her house, the world felt different. Bigger. Heavier. Like the past was following me home. But I wasn't prepared for what came next. A week later, Grandma passed in her sleep. Peacefully. Quietly. With her hands folded like she was finally resting after a long life spent holding everyone else up. The call came at 5:13 a.m. My mother's voice was fractured. "Nia, she's gone." I drove over in shock, heart numb, tears stuck somewhere behind my ribs. The house was full of relatives by the time I arrived. Some crying, some pretending to be devastated for attention. Aunt Denise in particular was crying so loudly you'd think she'd been the one rubbing Grandma's feet at night. When I walked in, she shot me a sharp, accusing stare, as if Grandma's death was somehow my fault too. But even grief couldn't distract me from the purple box waiting upstairs. That afternoon, once the house quieted, I slipped into Grandma's room. The sunlight peeked softly through sheer curtains. Her blanket was neatly folded. The room still smelled like lavender and her cocoa butter lotion. I reached for the box. My hands trembled. Inside were journals bound in ribbon, brittle letters, a folded map, and a small photograph of a woman I'd never seen before, a woman who looked like me. Underneath them all was an envelope with my name. Nia, read this first. My throat closed as I opened it. My dearest girl, if you are reading this, it means my body is gone, but my love remains with you. The land you inherited was not a gift. It was a burden my mother and her mother carried in silence. They kept it safe. They kept it alive. They passed it to the woman they trusted most. Your aunt was never meant to have this weight. She has always wanted glory, not truth. And this land holds truth your spirit is strong enough to protect. Inside this box is the story of our lineage, how the land was stolen, reclaimed, fought for, and nearly lost again. Only one woman per generation was chosen to guard it. That woman is you. Do not let anyone silence you. Your voice is not attitude. It is inheritance. Stand steady. Love, Grandma. I pressed the letter to my chest and sobbed. The quiet, shaking kind that comes from somewhere ancient. When I went downstairs, my aunt was waiting. She cornered me near the dining room, eyes red, face blotchy. What did you just take from her room? She demanded. Nothing for you, I said softly. Her jaw dropped. You think you're better than me because she gave you the land? No, I said. But Grandma did. That broke something in her. She lunged toward me, frustrated, shaky, but my mother stepped between us. Enough, Mom said, voice low but fierce. Mama made her choice. Respect it. Aunt Denise looked between us, breathing hard, then backed away like she'd been slapped by the truth instead of me. The will was read 2 weeks later. The lawyer repeated exactly what Grandma had already told us. Everything, house, land, heirlooms, went to me. But then he pulled out a second sealed letter. This, he said, is for the family. He opened it slowly. My children and grandchildren. Do not resent the one I chose. She carries what you were not meant to. Do not call her attitude what is simply the strength you lack. Do not question why she was chosen. Ask instead why you were not. If any of you love me, let her lead without bitterness. Signed, Mama. The room went still. Every aunt, every cousin, my mother, my uncle, even the kids holding juice boxes, all silent, because Grandma didn't write letters often. But when she did, she didn't stutter. Aunt Denise's face crumpled. She looked at me like she finally understood something painful, something humbling. She didn't speak for the rest of the reading. Afterward, as people filed out, she approached me slowly. I didn't know, she whispered. I didn't know she trusted you like that. I nodded, but stayed quiet. I always thought, she swallowed. I always thought your confidence was disrespect. I blinked. It never was. She shut her eyes like the truth hurt. I'm sorry. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't healing everything. But it was real. And I think that was all Grandma wanted. Later that night, I returned to her house one last time. I stood on the porch, breathing the warm evening air, listening to cicadas hum like an old lullaby. I thought about her letter, the woman in the photograph, the map, the lineage, the weight, the honor. I ran my fingers across the banister she used to wipe down every Saturday morning and whispered into the quiet. I'll take care of it, Grandma. I promise. Because the truth wasn't just mine to uncover now. It was mine to protect.